Perhaps in this very moment, as you sit and listen, something miraculous is unfolding. You do not need to step into a temple. You do not need to wear robes, nor must you memorize the scriptures. And yet, you are already practicing the Dharma. In this very instant, simply by being present, you are already walking on the path that many believe to be distant and difficult to reach. Does that sound hard to believe? Yet if you allow your mind to settle just a little, you will see. Peace has never been anywhere else but within this ordinary life. It is here, in the rhythm of your breath as you inhale and exhale. It is here, in the stillness of the room where you sit. It is in the warmth when you place your hand upon your chest and feel your own heartbeat. The Dharma is not outside of daily life. The Dharma is daily life itself, when we learn to see, to recognize, and to live in harmony with it. Remember those moments that seemed small, yet opened vast doorways within you. It might be a late night, when you toss and turn in bed, mind restless, yet that very moment becomes an opportunity to return to your breath, to recognize that you are alive, that you are here. It might be an early morning, as you walk along a familiar street in your neighborhood, sunlight streaming through the leaves, and for a brief instant, your heart feels light for no reason at all. Or it may be those few minutes sitting in your car before stepping into work, pausing to take one deep breath, realizing that within that stillness, your mind can rest in peace. That is the Dharma. No additional ritual is needed, no waiting for tomorrow. Only now, recognizing and living fully with the moment that is present. Most of us believe that to find peace, we must change ourselves, achieve something, or embark on a long and arduous journey. But the truth is otherwise. You do not need to become a different person. You do not need to memorize thousands of pages of scripture. You only need to learn how to see, how to listen, how to return to what has always been here. Like a mirror that is ever bright, only covered by dust, we imagine its radiance lost. In reality, clarity, stillness, and serenity have always been a faraway place, nor do they wait for a perfect tomorrow. They find happiness in each breath, each step, each simple act of living. And what they discovered transformed their way of seeing the world. Practice is not something separate from life. Practice is the way we live with life, with awareness, with compassion, and with the wisdom that right here, right now, everything we need is already present. When this is understood, we no longer hurry to search. We no longer strive to become someone else. We simply live fully with each breath, each step. And within that fullness, peace naturally reveals itself. That is the beginning of seeing that every ordinary moment, no matter how small, contains the entirety of the Dharma. Before closing this chapter, let us pause together. Breathe in deeply. Breathe out slowly. Look around the space where you sit. A chair, a table, the sounds outside, the light entering through the window. All are here. All are supporting you. You need nothing more to begin. You are already in the midst of the Dharma. And once you have seen this, you will begin to sense another layer of connection. A connection beyond the boundaries of space and time. A wondrous connection with all those who are walking this path alongside you. This is also what we shall explore together in Chapter 2, the miraculous connection. As we close the previous chapter, where we realize that the Dharma is not far away, but present in every moment of daily life, another doorway opens. For when we pause and listen to the breath, dwelling in the present moment, we begin to sense a wondrous connection. A connection not only between ourselves and our own being, but also between us and countless others, with all of life around us. even transcending time and space. You may think that meditation practice is a private matter, belonging only to each individual. Yet in truth, with just one mindful breath, with a single step taken in awareness, you are already walking side by side with millions across the world who are also treading this very path. In that very instant, you are not alone. You are being carried by an unseen stream. The stream of are already sharing the same source of happiness with anyone, anywhere in the world, who is washing dishes in mindfulness. Perhaps you have felt this simple joy, sitting in meditation with a group, the room quiet, only the sound of breathing. It is as if every breath harmonizes into a single rhythm, not guided by anyone, yet all in unison. In that silence, you feel a cool and gentle energy supporting you. This collective energy nourishes you, makes you more stable than when sitting alone. And wondrously, even when you sit by yourself at home, you can still touch this same energy. For the energy of mindfulness is limitless. It flows across space and time. When you sit down today, you are supported by thousands of years of practice, by the ancestors, by the teachers who walked this path before, by those practicing alongside you now, and by the generations yet to come. With just one mindful breath, you step into the cool river of mindfulness, where countless beings have immersed themselves. You are not alone. You have never been alone. Someone may ask, how then do we nurture this connection in daily life? The answer is simple. Return to the small things. When adjusting a cushion on your chair, instead of rushing, pause, breathe in, breathe out, and know you are caring for your body. When washing a bowl, let your mind not wander to tomorrow's plans, but simply feel the cool water, the presence of the bowl, and gratitude for the meal just enjoyed. These small acts are doors that open into a deep connection. For in each simple gesture, we are sending a signal to the world that we are present, that we cherish life, that we are living with awareness. And the world responds with a gentle stream of energy, carried from all those walking the same path. The joy of this connection is not loud or flashy. It is a quiet joy, subtle, yet enduring. Like sitting beneath a great tree, you may not see its vast root system, but you know it is there, holding the tree firm. We too are being upheld by countless other presences. Whenever you feel weary, lonely, remember, with just one mindful breath, you return immediately into the embrace of life. And within that embrace, and with all beings, when we truly live in awareness, the boundary between self and other begins to dissolve. We see that we already belong to one another. Every smile we offer may become a comfort to someone. Every steady step we take may inspire another's. Within this miraculous connection, we are both an individual and part of the whole. And once you have touched this happiness, you are invited to step through another doorway. For connection becomes even deeper when we realize that practice and life are not two. They are one. Let us meet again in Chapter 3. Practice and life are not two. In the previous chapter, we stepped into the wondrous realm of connection, where a single mindful breath, a single conscious step, allowed us to harmonize with countless beings across time and space. And now, as that connection has been felt, we begin to see a simple truth. Practice is not separate from life. Practice is life itself. Many people, when they hear the word practice, often think of something that requires a special, set-apart time, such as sitting meditation, walking meditation, or attending a retreat. But in truth, practice is not an extra piece added onto life. It is the way we touch life with mindfulness, compassion, and awareness. Life is not outside of practice, and practice is not outside of life. They are one, never apart. Notice this. When you wash a dish in mindfulness, it is not practicing meditation outside of life. It is simply living. When you take a deep breath after a long day, fully aware of the air filling your lungs, it is not a practice apart from life. It is you living wholly, completely. Someone may ask, then what is the difference between ordinary living and living in practice? The only difference lies in presence. When we live hastily, letting the mind wander everywhere, we lose our very life. But when we are present, living in mindfulness, every ordinary moment becomes a Dharma teaching. In other words, practice does not add anything to life. It simply brings us back to life in its fullness. The present moment already contains everything we need, never devoid of meaning. Once we touch it deeply, every gesture shines. Many think they must leave ordinary life behind in order to practice. But in truth, daily life is the fertile soil where mindfulness takes root. If we can only dwell peacefully on a meditation cushion, yet lose ourselves once we step outside, our practice is not complete. But if in the midst of a bustling market we can maintain a calm breath, if, while cooking, we can feel gratitude, if, while speaking to a loved one, we can remain deeply listening, then that is true practice. And when we see clearly that life and practice are not two, we are no longer divided. We no longer seek some far-off land of peace. We no longer wait until we have free time to cultivate the path. Because every step, every word, every glance, if lived in mindfulness, is already a wondrous practice. Do you see how, when we dwell fully, even something as simple as breathing brings joy? Breathing in, we know we are alive. Breathing out, we release our tension. And within just a few breaths, we are already nourished. Life has never abandoned us. We only forgot how to return. In the same way, love is not something to search for outside. It has always been here, awaiting our mindful touch. When you embrace a loved one in mindfulness, that embrace carries a profound healing power. When you smile at a stranger on the street, that smile can transform their day. Each of these small acts is practice, and each of them is life. Remember, practice not being two with life means there is no boundary. There is no time for practice and time for ordinary life. Every moment is practice, if we are wholly present. And it is this presence that frees us from division, from conflict, from endless seeking. We need not go anywhere far to find the wondrous. This very moment, with breath, with heart, with life, already contains everything. If we touch it with mindfulness, we are touching the Dharma, touching truth, touching the wholeness that has always been. When a wondrous practice, and from there, another door opens, the door of wisdom. For when we are settled enough in the present moment, we begin to see more clearly what is unfolding within our own mind. We realize that suffering does not always come from external events, but most often from the stories the mind weaves around those events. For example, one morning you receive a very brief email from your boss, just a few words, "See me at 2 p.m." It is simply a small event, a neutral piece of information. Yet immediately the mind begins to spin countless scenarios. Is something wrong? Did I make a mistake? Is the boss displeased with yesterday's report? And from these thoughts, worry, tension, and unease arise, even though nothing has actually happened yet. Or another example, you send a message to a friend, but they do not reply right away. The actual event is very simple. The message has not yet been answered. But in our head, countless stories appear. Are they angry with me? Did I say something that hurt them? Is this friendship breaking apart? And we suffer, worry, even blame ourselves. In truth, the event itself is very simple, but the mind does not leave it as it is. It takes that small fact as material, then begins to write a whole story, adding layers of interpretation, assumption, expectation, and fear. When we believe in that story, we fall into suffering. And right here is where wisdom is called forth, seeing the difference between the event itself and the story the mind is weaving. There is a very simple practice. Whenever you notice a worry, a fear arising in your mind, pause and ask yourself, what is the actual event? And what is the story my mind is creating around it? When we can discern that difference, spaciousness immediately opens for breathing, for releasing. For example, event, email from boss, see me at 2 p.m. Story woven by the mind. Something bad must have happened. I'm about to be reprimanded. I might lose my job. When we separate them in this way, wisdom shines forth. We see that most of our suffering does not come from reality, but from the movie the mind is projecting in our head. And do you notice this? That movie often repeats old scripts.
Ignorance. Ignorance is letting the mind lead us into imagined stories, then believing them as truth. Wisdom is realizing the event is only the event. The story is only a product of the mind. And once we discern that, we are free. You can practice this today. Whenever something stirs unease in your heart, write it down. On one side, note the event, only what actually happened, nothing added. On the other side, note the story, all that the mind is constructing. Then look again, and you will see. Most of what makes us suffer belongs to the story, not the event. This practice is not to deny the mind, but to illuminate it. With wisdom, we are no longer carried away blindly. We can pause, breathe, and smile, even at those invisible scripts. The wonder is this. When we look deeply into the mind in this way, compassion arises. We see that those stories often sprout from unhealed wounds, from the fear of being left behind, of not being enough, of losing what we hold dear. When we hold them with compassion, we no longer fight against the mind. We listen, and healing begins. And this is the path of wisdom, not only seeing reality as it is, but also seeing the nature of the mind, quick to fabricate, easy to wander, yet also capable of awakening and letting go. When wisdom blossoms, we begin to step out of the cycle of suffering. We no longer over-identify with the stories of the mind. We know that we can return to the breath, to the present. And in the present, truth is always simple, gentle, never as complicated as the mind has woven it to be. Do you see? When we see clearly the stories of the mind, we are also seeing one of the greatest illusions, the illusion of self. For it is the self that hides behind most of those narratives. It fears losing face, fears rejection, fears judgment. It always needs to build stories to protect itself. And thus, the path of wisdom leads us to a deeper level, seeing the self and the illusions it spins within modern life. Let us meet again.
Praise. And if the response falls short of expectation, you feel disappointed, even questioning your own worth. This is a clear reflection of the illusion of the modern ego. Outwardly, it may seem as though you are in control of your image, displaying strength through beautiful pictures and witty words. Yet inwardly, you may be bound by anxiety and fatigue. Your happiness hangs suspended on numbers. How many likes? How many followers? The ego, once just a mental construct, is now magnified into an online persona. It deceives us into believing, I am the number of likes. I am the comments. I am the image others see. And when that image trembles, we lose our balance, as if our very being were under threat. The danger lies here. The more we chase after this virtual ego, the farther we drift from our true self. We forget the simple fullness of a deep morning breath. We forget the quiet joy of sipping tea while listening to the rustle of leaves. We forget the warmth of presence in the embrace of loved ones. For the mind is too busy with the thought, what do others think of me? Some people appear radiant on the outside, their social profiles brimming with curated beauty. Yet inside, they feel empty and weary. They are like a hamster running endlessly on its wheel. The faster they run, the more exhausted they become, yet they go nowhere. In Buddhism, there is an image. The ego is like a reflection upon water. It appears to have form, yet when you reach for it, nothing can be grasped. Social media has made this reflection more vivid than ever. But no matter how many millions may admire you, if within you there is no groundedness, there will still be only fatigue. So, what does wisdom in practice teach us? It teaches us to see clearly that the ego is an illusion. It is not the true I. It is merely a collection of images, expectations, and comparisons. When we identify with it, we suffer. When we see it as just another game of the mind, we are free. A simple practice. Before you post something, ask yourself, am I sharing this out of genuine joy? Likes, none demand display, yet they nourish us more than any fleeting online glow. The illusion of the modern ego may be strong, but it is not unshakable. When we practice looking deeply, we see. The ego is but another story the mind is telling. It is not the true self. The true self is the living breath within us, the capacity to love, the wisdom that perceives impermanence. And when this insight dawns, a great peace blossoms. We are no longer dragged about by images or by numbers of approval. We can use technology without being used by it. We can step into the modern world without losing our awareness. This wisdom also lays the foundation for a quality much needed in our times: mindful leadership. For today's world requires not only those successful in their careers, but those who can guide others with inner stability, nurturing communities through understanding and compassion. So, what are the 3 powers that make a mindful leader? Let us meet again in Chapter 6, the 3 powers of mindful leadership. We have just reflected together on the illusion of the modern self, where people tirelessly construct an image, yet sometimes lose sight of their true being. When we begin to see clearly those invisible chains, a question naturally arises. In life, in work, in guiding others, what truly brings strength? Is it status, wealth, or power? Or is there another kind of strength, subtler, more enduring, the strength of an awakened heart? A true leader is not one who stands above, imposing fear, but one who has the capacity to kindle trust and nurture peace within the community. The 3 strengths that allow them to do so do not arise from external possessions, but blossom from the depth of practice itself. The strength of presence, the strength of clarity, and the strength of letting go. The strength of presence. In modern life, it is rare to encounter someone who is fully present. We sit in meetings, but our minds are elsewhere, thinking about unanswered messages.
We are beside our loved ones, yet our hands remain busy scrolling the phone. We listen, but we do not truly hear. An awakened leader cultivates clarity, the ability to see reality as it is, without embellishment or distortion. When the mind rests in stillness, wisdom naturally shines forth, revealing what is root and what is merely surface. A clear decision does not always please everyone, but it arises from deep understanding and a comprehensive vision. Such a leader is not shaken by rumors or fears, but guided by right view and mindfulness. Clarity also means transparency. When they speak with precision, when their actions are consistent, suspicion fades away, and trust is nourished. The strength of letting go. It may sound unusual. Should a leader truly learn to let go? Yet letting go is perhaps the greatest strength. Letting go does not mean indifference. It means knowing when to release what no longer serves. It may be an outdated plan, a rigid mindset, or even the ego's urge to always be right. A leader who is not bound by old prejudices, who does not cling to a flawless image, is free. They dare to admit mistakes, to change course, to place the common good above personal pride. In such letting go, space opens for creativity, for new growth. Sometimes letting go is as simple as exhaling deeply, setting aside tension, and returning to inner stillness. From there, they can move forward with a spacious heart, unburdened, leading with trust and sincerity. These three strengths, presence, clarity, and letting go, interweave to create a wholly different way of leading. No longer is it about control through fear or domination, but about guiding through trust and sincerity. A leader who is fully present gives their people a sense of safety. A leader whose mind is clear offers a sense of direction. A leader who knows how to let go opens the path for everyone to advance together. Then, leadership ceases to be a heavy burden. It becomes a shared journey, where each person is nourished and inspired to bring forth their own goodness. The leader does not need to stand above, but walks alongside, as a companion on the path. Perhaps in reading this, we also glimpse our own reflection. For each of us, at some point, must lead, with sincerity. Yet, to go deeper, we must look directly at a subtler root, one that silently binds us, making those strengths easily shaken. This is subtle craving, the invisible chain within each of us. Craving is not only great desire. When speaking of craving, people often think of grand desires, wealth, power, fame, sensual pleasure. Yet in truth, craving also appears in much smaller, subtler forms, so delicate that we hardly notice them. It may be the wish for a word of praise after effort, the hope that a posted photo receives many likes, the restlessness while waiting for a reply to a message, the unease when a cup of tea is not sweet enough, or the chair not quite comfortable. These seemingly harmless wants, when unmet, easily stir irritation and disappointment. And when fulfilled, they open the door to yet another longing. Like a bottomless well, no matter how much we pour in, it never fills. Golden thrones, titles, and love, never enough. One is given a golden throne, and upon sitting feels satisfied, only for the mind to soon crave a higher seat, a larger one, one with more power. One attains the position long dreamed of, yet immediately fears losing it and strives to climb further. One gains love, yet the heart is still unsettled, wishing for that love to be more intense, more perfect, more everlasting. The very nature of craving is that it never ceases. It tricks us into believing happiness lies in something ahead, out there. But when we grasp it, we find it is still not enough. And so the cycle begins anew. The root of suffering, a mind that does not rest with what is. A flower blooms by the roadside. A breeze caresses the skin. A friend offers a simple smile. All of this is already here, yet the mind turns away, chasing what has not yet come. Suffering is not in the external world, but in the mind's refusal to rest with what is present. Like a thirsty wanderer in the desert, who overlooks the drop of clear water before him, longing to dissolve like morning mist under sunlight. Letting go to be free. Letting go does not mean rejecting life. We still drink tea, still love, still work, still create. But instead of chasing after wants, we meet life directly as it is. The cup of tea is no longer a tool for satisfaction, but a companion. Love is no longer a place to cling, but a space for offering and supporting one another. Work is no longer a ladder to climb higher, but an opportunity to sow wholesome seeds into the world. Then the heart can rest, no longer running, no longer pulled by invisible chains. True freedom blossoms there. Practice. Day by day. Whenever a want arises, we may ask ourselves, if I do not get this, can I still breathe, still smile, still live? The answer is usually yes. And even this simple recognition loosens attachment. Practice is not about becoming one who has no desires at all, but about seeing desire clearly, understanding its nature, and no longer being led by it. Opening the door to a new path. When subtle craving is seen clearly, we recognize what often follows behind unmet longing. Anger. When craving is not satisfied, anger arises. It is another doorway of the mind, leading to profound lessons. Thus, having reflected together on the invisible chain of craving, we will now step into Chapter 8. Anger, the doorway to understanding. There we will see how anger can consume and burn, but also how, when embraced, it can become a path to deeper compassion and wisdom. In the previous chapter, we looked deeply into subtle craving, those small, seemingly harmless desires that silently bind the heart. When such desires are not fulfilled, another energy often arises: anger. It is like a flame bursting from within, heating the chest, clouding reason, sharpening words, and making actions clumsy. If craving is the invisible chain, then anger is the spark that heats the chain, tightening its grip. Yet in the Dharma, anger is not an enemy. It can become a gateway through which understanding and compassion are revealed.
Perhaps it seeks to protect fairness when we witness injustice. Thus, deep within anger often lies a hidden seed of something wholesome: love, self-respect, the longing for justice. But without mindfulness, that seed is twisted into a fire that burns. Through observation, we begin to see its true nature. Anger is not purely an enemy, but a voice calling us back to something precious within. When understood, anger becomes a teacher. A teacher once said, "If you have never been angry, you cannot truly understand or love someone deeply." Indeed, anger can become a teacher. When we are angry, we are reminded that within us still live unhealed wounds, unmet needs waiting to be illuminated. For example, when friends forget us, we feel anger. But if we sit quietly and look deeply, we may see beneath it a fear of being abandoned, a longing for recognition. Thus, anger is the teacher, pointing out the shadows of the heart so we may heal them.
When understood in this way, anger is no longer frightening. It becomes a bell of mindfulness. Each time anger arises, it is a chance to see more clearly, to know ourselves better, and to love ourselves more fully. Anger and the practice of mindfulness. In daily life, anyone can meet anger. A curt email from the boss makes us feel belittled. A message unanswered makes us feel abandoned. A small collision on the road sets us ablaze. But with mindfulness, each spark of anger becomes an opportunity to practice. Instead of reacting immediately, we pause. Instead of speaking harshly, we breathe in, breathe out. Instead of letting the fire spread, we place it gently in the cradle of mindfulness, where it slowly cools down. Perhaps at first anger does not dissolve right away, yet each time we practice, we are less swept away. Gradually, we see, anger has its own lifespan. It comes, stays for a while, and goes. We no longer mistake it as our true self, transforming the fire of anger into the light of understanding. Just as wood can burn into flame, but if used skillfully, the fire can cook rice and warm a winter night. So too, anger can consume, but if illuminated by mindfulness, practicing with anger in daily life. We can begin with small steps. When frustrated in traffic, breathe slowly. Look around and see that we are not alone. When annoyed because a loved one forgot something small, smile gently, remembering that they too sometimes forget themselves. When burning with impatience at an unanswered message, put the phone down, take a walk, and return to the breath. Little by little, we learn to recognize, observe, understand, and release. Opening to the next chapter. Having walked through the gateway of anger, we discover deeper understanding of ourselves and of others. Yet on this path there is another subtle energy, often intertwined with both anger and craving, the pursuit of name and self. Fame can feed the swelling of the ego, and that ego in turn breeds suffering. In the next chapter, we will contemplate fame and self, the monk's cup. There we will see, a cup that seems already full can only receive fresh, cool water when it is set down. Stepping forward from the previous chapter, we have passed through the doorway of anger, where the fire of wrath, when seen with the eyes of understanding, is transformed into a teacher. We realize that beneath anger there is not only shadow, but also the light of a need to be understood, a wish to be protected. From that clarity, we gradually learn to smile at the waves arising within our own hearts. Yet the journey of the mind does not end there. Another current flows quietly and subtly, threading itself through every thought and action. The attachment to name, to the self, to the illusion that everything around us belongs to us. This is another binding chain, no less powerful, that entangles human beings in the endless cycle of suffering. Imagine a simple cup. If we see it merely as a cup to drink water, to hold tea, it remains nothing more than an object. But the moment our mind silently labels it, "This is my cup," a subtle change begins. The cup itself has not changed, yet the mind's relationship with it has shifted. Now, when the cup is scratched, we feel wounded. If someone accidentally breaks it, we suffer as though part of example. But when replaced with my name, my career, my family, my body, we see clearly how thick and heavy the chains of ego truly are. There is a story in the Zen tradition. A monk used to drink tea from an earthen cup. Each time he lifted it, he would whisper, "This cup is already broken." Someone asked in surprise, "But master, it is still whole." The monk smiled. "In my eyes, it is already shattered. For I know one day it will fall and break. When I drink tea today, I cherish it. I am grateful, yet I do not cling. Because in truth, it is already broken. The lesson here is profound. Everything we call mine lies within the law of impermanence. This body, this career, this reputation, all will dissolve like that cup. If we grasp them with the illusion of permanence, we inevitably suffer. But if we regard them as already broken, our heart is at peace. We still use, still love, still cherish, but we do not bind ourselves. Fame and ego walk hand in hand like two sides of one coin. Ego craves acknowledgement, praise, a pedestal to stand upon, and fame is its nourishment. Yet like fire fed with wood, the more ego is fed, the more it grows, demanding endlessly. A compliment today is never enough for tomorrow. Today's glory soon pales with the arrival of another day. Thus the mind runs on and on, exhausted, without end. In truth, fame has no substance. It is like the moon's reflection on water, beautiful, yet impossible to grasp. The wise see this clearly, and do not let the ego be deceived. They wear fame as one might wear a garment, put on when needed, laid aside when not, never mistaken for their own skin. So how do we step out of the chains of fame and ego? First, by seeing clearly. Just as we uncovered the roots of anger in the previous chapter, here too we must shine light on our clinging. When you hear yourself say, "This is mine," pause a moment, breathe in, breathe out, and softly ask, is it truly mine, or merely a temporary borrowing within the flow of impermanence? Next comes release, not a forced abandon, the indestructible treasure. From this clarity, we can now step onward into the next chapter, where we shall look deeply into the bonds of possession and image, the subtle ties with which modern beings entrap themselves in the endless wheel of becoming. Stepping forth from the previous chapter, we have seen clearly the monk's cup and the lesson that suffering does not arise from things themselves, but from the label of mine that the ego lays upon them. From the story of that small cup, we expand our gaze to fame and self and perceive how many invisible chains still bind us tightly. Now the journey brings us to another doorway, familiar, yet seldom do we pause to look deeply. The fetters of possession and image. In modern society, we live amidst an ocean of information, images, and measures of success defined by wealth and recognition. From childhood, we are taught that having more equals being happier. Owning a large house, driving a fine car, securing a stable job, appearing polished before others, these are presented as the only path toward peace. Yet the further we walk, the more weary we become. For the more we possess, the heavier the burden grows. To hold on to one house is already difficult. To hold two, more so. To maintain a reputation is already exhausting. To preserve a flawless image before the world is weariness multiplied. These chains, though forged of gold and silver, gleaming with light, are still chains. They bind us to a play without end, the drama of the self and what the self owns. Consider a simple day. We post a picture on social media. Immediately, the mind waits, counting each like, each comment. When the numbers rise, we feel joy, yet it is fragile, for it depends entirely on the eyes of others. When the numbers are few, anxiety stirs. Am I not attractive enough? Am I less than others? Outwardly, it seems we hold power, the power to choose the image, the caption, to decide how we appear before the world. Yet inwardly, we are completely ruled by invisible likes. That supposed power is, in truth, a subtle prison. Upon the foundation of having, then surely one day that happiness will crumble. Letting go of these two notions does not mean rejecting life. We may still work, still own, still care for ourselves, but the difference lies here. No longer do we allow the ego to cling and define us by these things. One may drive a fine car, but if within they know the car is only a means and not their self, they remain free. One may appear on social media, but if they do not let image decide their worth, they remain at peace. Freedom does not come from abandoning all, but from the attitude of release within. The one who knows how to release may live amidst noisy streets yet remain calm. They may wear a fine garment, yet not let it make them more important than others. They may hold wealth in their hands, yet deep within they know this wealth comes and goes, never mine forever. In living with such a heart of release, a gentle happiness spreads. No longer burdened by maintaining appearances, no longer fearful of loss. Each moment becomes a spacious sky where we may breathe deeply and smile. The sutras teach, one with few desires has no fear, no sorrow. This is the key to freedom. When we let go of identifying with possessions and images, we are no longer bound by gain and loss, high and low. We may live simply, yet rich in a way possessions can never give, rich in serenity. Sitting still, taking a deep breath, we may ask our heart, if tomorrow there is no more fame, no more possessions, would I still be myself? The honest answer leads us to the root, for our true nature has never been those outer things. It is the stream of life flowing, the breath rising and falling, the luminous awareness present here and now. And from this recognition, we step through to a new land, seeing that personal freedom cannot be separated from the environment around us. For a human is not only shaped by what they own, but also by the earth they stand on, the air they breathe, the community they dwell in. From here, the journey will carry us into Chapter 11, Environment and Interwoven Influence, where we look deeply into the intimate relationship between by earth, water, sunlight, and also by the seeds we sow within. If we care for it with wholesome nourishment, the garden of the mind will blossom. If we water it with toxins, the garden will wither. The outer environment is like the stream that flows into that garden. It is never neutral. It always carries either nutrients or poisons. What we read, what we hear, what we see, even the very air we breathe, all become part of that environment. In modern life, environment is not only trees, rivers, and mountains. It is also the news we scroll through each day, the posts on social media, the music in our ears, the conversations that surround us. Each of these enters our mind, either nourishing or corroding our peace. Listen to a noisy, restless song, and the heart, too, becomes agitated. Listen to a gentle, quiet melody, and the whole body loosens and softens. If just one piece of music can shift the mind, how much more the vast world of sounds, images, and news that envelops us each day. At times, we think we are only watching for fun, listening in passing, scrolling a little just to know. But in truth, every fragment of negative news, every word of gossip, every disturbing image plants a seed in us. Small though it may be, that seed remains, waiting for the day it ripens. In the same way, each mindful breath, each compassionate story, each nourishing image plants seeds of peace. Seeing this, we realize, choosing our environment is choosing the seeds we place in the soil of our mind. We cannot control everything that comes our way, but we can choose how to nourish ourselves. Like a gardener who cannot stop the wind from carrying dust into the garden, but can choose to plant more flowers and trees, so the garden stays alive and green. Practicing mindfulness in relation to environment does not mean rejecting all things, but knowing how to discern. To pause before opening news filled only with fear. To turn away from a fruitless argument. To open a book that nourishes wisdom instead of immersing ourselves in addictive images. Pain. On the other hand, if we let anger lead, the environment we contribute to will be filled with tension and unrest. Each person is like a river, and the environment is the place where rivers meet. A clear stream makes the whole stretch clear. A muddy stream makes the whole stretch turbid. And we have the power to choose what kind of water we bring to life. To choose our environment, then, is not only to nourish body and mind, but also to nourish the world we share. For the world is not somewhere far away. It is in the very room we live in, the device we hold in our hands, the way we speak to the person beside us. If we pause for a single breath, choose a kind word, an uplifting image, a piece of music that nourishes, then in that moment, the environment is transformed. And when the environment transforms, our hearts transform too. The ancients said, "Near ink one is stained black, near light one becomes bright." Yet today, we can choose to be a lamp ourselves. A lamp need not blaze, it need only shine where it stands. That light is enough to sustain oneself, and at the same time invite others to step into brightness. Through this doorway, we see clearly the subtle power of environment. And from environment, we take another step to see, not only places and communities, but even our daily speech itself is a kind of environment, one that can nourish or destroy. A word may be a cool breeze soothing the heart, or a flame burning away peace. A kind word may lift a person up. A harsh word may cast them into shadow. Our next journey will lead us into Chapter 12, Speech and Subtle Influence, where together we will contemplate how each sound we utter, each word we sow, becomes a seed that nourishes both body and mind, and the world around us. After we have paused together and looked deeply into the environment and its intertwined influences, we clearly see that whatever we touch and absorb each day either nourishes or harms body and mind. Yet, there is a particular kind of environment that is most intimate, woven into every breath, truthful, gentle, and constructive. Such words neither harm nor divide, neither deceive nor embellish emptily. Right speech is light in the night, a cool stream watering dry soil. On the other hand, unmindful speech becomes an invisible arrow. It leaves no wound upon the skin, yet lingers in the heart, stretching pain across many years. For this reason, we must awaken to see clearly. Every word we release carries consequence, however subtle. Planting seeds of hope or anxiety. When we speak of beauty, of possibility, of what may open before us, we are planting seeds of hope. The listener feels a space widening within, enough to believe that life still offers paths, still holds chances. A sincere word of praise may brighten a darkened day. A reminder of the positive may serve as a lantern in the shadowed tunnel. Conversely, when we constantly speak of lack, error, or failure, we are unknowingly planting seeds of anxiety. The listener feels weighed down, discouraged, stripped of trust in themselves and in life. The shared atmosphere slowly thickens into heaviness and gloom, and we ourselves, the speakers of such words, cannot escape the circle of negativity we have created. In other words, speech is the seed, and our shared life is the soil. Whatever seed is sown again and again will become a forest, whether it be a forest of hope or a forest of fear. depends entirely on the mindfulness with which we choose our words. Speech in the collective spiritual atmosphere. In a family, a gentle word from parents may nourish a child's sense of safety. Harsh scolding, repeated again and again, creates a climate of unease. In a community, words of encouragement and support bring connection, but when filled with criticism, comparison, and sarcasm, the fabric of trust begins to fray. Pause and reflect. The atmosphere in a room can shift entirely because of a single phrase, from silence to warmth, from heaviness to lightness. Language is a building material, a kind of spiritual climate in which we and others continually breathe. If we wish to nurture peace, we must be careful with every word, for even one phrase may open the door to heaven
After day. Practicing deep listening. Speech becomes truly nourishing only when paired with listening. Without listening, we speak from prejudice, from ego, from anger. But when we listen with sincerity, our words arise from the heart, from understanding. And where there is understanding, there is naturally loving speech. In the family, sit down and listen to your loved ones with full attention. In community, give one another space to share, without interruption, without haste to judge. Such listening soothes countless wounds and opens pathways of connection. Looking back, we see that speech is not merely fleeting sound, but the breath of spirit itself. It spreads outward, subtle in effect, nurturing or corroding the collective. With this awareness, we learn to speak of what is wholesome, planting seeds of joy, cultivating a shared atmosphere of peace. And when our words become clear, tender, and kind, we recognize a deeper truth. The individual and the community are never separate. Each word we utter is not only for ourselves, but a thread weaving into the fabric of the whole. This is the doorway that will open for us into the next chapter. Chapter 13. The individual and the community are not separate. In the previous chapter, we paused together to look deeply into speech and its subtle influence. We saw that every word, every sound uttered does not simply vanish, but gradually seeps into the collective atmosphere, becoming soil that can either nourish or erode the well-being of a community. From that awareness, we take a further step, recognizing that the individual and the community have never been separate. If the words of one person can change the atmosphere of a family, then the mindful presence of a single person can radiate peace to an entire community. Conversely, an agitated mind can spread tension to many around it. Seeing this clearly, we understand, need not perform great deeds. Their very presence plants into life a rare and precious source of energy. In daily life, too, we can witness this. When a family faces crisis, if even one person remains calm and mindful, the whole household finds stability. In a group torn by conflict, if one person can listen and embrace, the community is transformed. One awakened person is like a shining lamp. That light effortlessly dispels the darkness around. When we change, the world changes. At times, we may feel powerless before the great problems of the world. Violence,
injustice, war, environmental crises. But let us begin with ourselves. When you smile at a stranger, the world holds a little less loneliness. When you extend compassion to one in pain, the world carries a little less hatred. Every small shift within us is like a ripple on the surface of a lake. That ripple spreads, touches another ripple, and continues outward. Gradually, the entire lake quivers. Do not underestimate the transformation of a single person. For when one flower blooms, the whole garden gains fragrance. When one heart opens, the world itself expands. So instead of waiting for the world to change so we can be happy, let us begin to change within. Then, the world around us will naturally transform. Individual and community, two faces of one reality. Through the lens of interbeing, there is no isolated individual and no community apart. The individual is nourished by the community, and the community is formed by countless individuals. Just as a drop of water cannot be separate from the ocean, we cannot be apart from the environment around us. If the community is healthy, the individual can more easily nurture peace. If the individual is mindful, the community gradually becomes luminous. Seeing this, we no longer blame the community nor surrender our lives to it. We take responsibility for our own practice while cherishing and contributing to the whole. Practicing for both. With each breath, we can care for ourselves and also nourish the community. When we walk in mindfulness,
Tomorrow, nor in some faraway place. It is here, in each moment, in each breath, in the here and now. This is the doorway that opens into chapter 14, freedom in this very moment. In the previous chapter, we saw clearly that the individual and the community are never apart. Every change within a single person leaves an imprint upon the whole, and each mindful breath of one being becomes nourishment for the entire community. From this insight, we take another step. If all is so deeply interconnected, then freedom is not a distant place, but right here, in this very moment. The culture of insufficiency. From childhood, we have grown up in a culture that constantly whispers, sometimes shouts, "You are not enough," not beautiful enough, not talented enough, not wealthy enough, not successful enough. We must strive for more, accumulate more, become a better version of ourselves. These messages day by day sink into our minds. They place us on a path without end, studying more to surpass others, buying more to not fall behind, working more to prove our worth. Like a door that forever recedes, each time we touch it, it withdraws a little farther. In this endless cycle, we never truly rest. For the moment we achieve one goal, the mind whispers again, "Not enough yet. You need more." The Dharma of completeness. Contrary to the unceasing call of the world, the Dharma teaches us something simple. Right now, you are already enough. Merely returning to the breath, we touch life. Looking out the window and seeing a branch of green, we behold a miracle. Recognizing that the heart still beats, the hands still grasp, the eyes still see, we encounter countless blessings already here. We need nothing added to be ourselves. We need not become someone else to deserve love. In this very moment, we are already whole. Caring for life with presence and gratitude,
Freedom does not lie in the wealth we possess or the status we attain. Freedom is not found in grandeur, but in the little details we often overlook. A single flower can contain the cosmos. A single breath is enough for returning home. Balancing doing and not doing. Modern society glorifies doing. The busy are respected, the accomplished admired. But if there is only doing without resting, we will burn out. The Dharma invites us to walk the path of balance between doing and not doing. When action is needed, act wholeheartedly, without laziness, without resignation. But when rest is needed, rest completely, without guilt, without shame. Maturity does not mean endlessly running forward. Sometimes maturity is knowing how to turn back, how to sit down, how to exhale and smile. Resting and growing are not opposites. They walk hand in hand, nurturing each other. Freedom, here and now. Seeing this, we no longer chase freedom in a far-off future, nor do we believe we must abandon everything to taste peace. Freedom is not a destination. Freedom is the way we walk. In each steady step, each conscious breath, each grateful smile, we already touch freedom, a freedom no one can take away. For it does not depend on wealth, fame, or outward form. It rests only upon our own mindfulness and letting go. From here, we see that freedom does not dwell in the distant future, nor in some faraway place. It is alive in this very moment, when we return, when we are present, when we know we are enough. And from this return, we step into a deeper discovery, returning to oneself, boundless peace. For if freedom is here now, then the source of peace has never left us. It has been waiting within each breath, within each living moment. This will be the doorway opening into chapter 15, returning to oneself, boundless peace. In the previous chapter, we paused to recognize a simple truth. Freedom is not a distant place, but something that dwells right here in this very moment. When we learn to care for each breath, to be grateful for each wounds within, only then can we truly open our hearts to the world, embracing difficulties as part of life. Many people think practice is to escape suffering, to make life free of hardships. But if we look closely, we see that difficulties are the very soil where practice can take root. An outburst of anger, a wave of sadness, a failure, each of these can become a doorway to return home. Instead of pushing them away, we can softly say, "Ah, difficulty has arrived. I will sit with you." Then, instead of being a stone that blocks our path, suffering becomes a lantern. It shows us what we are craving, what we are clinging to, and what understanding we are lacking. Like a mother cradling her crying child, we too can cradle our own difficulties. We need not rush to silence them, nor hasten to move past them. Simply being present, simply breathing with them, allows the waves to calm by themselves. And when the waves subside, the ocean of the mind reveals itself, clear and vast, cherishing simple joys. Peace is not found only in overcoming great suffering. Peace also lies within the small, simple things, though we so often overlook them. A warm cup of tea in the morning, a cool breeze gently touching the window, a loved one's smile at the end of a long day. If the heart is quiet enough, we will see that each small joy is a doorway to boundless peace. They may seem like tiny drops of water, but together they form a stream that nourishes the soul. On the other hand, if we keep waiting for grand happiness, a glittering success, a faraway journey, a miraculous moment, we may pass by countless wonders already present by our side. To cherish small joys is to train ourselves with clear eyes, and those eyes, once they truly see, will no longer doubt that peace is always here, in every step, in every breath. Practice in daily life. Many believe that practice exists only in meditation halls, on the cushion, during the hours of sitting. Yet in truth, every moment of life is a Dharma hall. Washing the dishes is practice. Sweeping the floor is practice. Playing with children is practice. Walking
Something to recognize. It is like the moon. Even when hidden by clouds, the moon remains full, remains bright. When the clouds drift away, we simply lift our gaze, and it is there. And once we have seen, there is no fear of losing it. For even when storms return, we know, with a breath, with a quiet sitting, the moonlight will shine again. Peace is boundless, for it depends not on outer circumstances, but on our capacity to return. The path we have walked, from recognizing wandering thoughts, seeing through the illusion of ego, learning to let go, to discovering freedom in the present moment, all of it has led us here, back to ourselves, where boundless peace awaits. And now, as a final message, let me speak to you, slowly, gently, like a whisper from the earth, from the wind, from the heart of the universe. You are enough, right here, right now. Walk on, in peace.